and I'm here to talk about the Skill Level Recognition Program, which is a really crappy name. But if anybody has a better idea, let me know. I've also, you'll hear me call this something different every time I talk about it because I can't remember the name of it. I often talk about it the Progressive Patch Program. But at any rate, if anybody has a better idea for a name, let me know. So this is something new, at least in terms of that we're really rolling it out at this point to people. It's been in my brain for years. I finally started to implement it about 2 years ago when I retired and had time to type up the idea. Went to Glenn with it and said, here's something I'd like to do. And he said, well, okay, Aaron Sherm is doing something kind of similar too, so go talk to him. So Aaron and I sent emails back and forth for a year trying to come up with something, and eventually we kind of split it back apart into two separate things because the goals of what he was doing were a little bit different than the goals of what I was doing, but the two things that we ended up with now are more similar than they would have been otherwise because at one point we were trying to merge them together, so there's a lot of overlap in how what I came up with compares with what he came up with. So this is the patch design. Start with that. So the idea is that this is a program where kids primarily, although to be honest, there's nothing in the materials that says an adult can't do this. Anybody can do this. But the idea is that as you, at each level, you meet some certain requirements, and then you've earned the patch for that level. This is, I don't know how much Boy Scouts do this. This is really common in Girl Scouts as something that is not in the official badge program, but lots of councils sponsor things like this, where there's some set of skills where as you get older and older, you gradually earn a newer patch that adds on and says, now I'm even better at this, I'm even better at this. So the idea is that there's 4 levels, the 4 patches. If you earn them all and put them together, they make a map. You know, and they're color-coded kind of based on the course color system that we use. There's a white patch, a yellow patch, an orange patch, a green patch.
I'd seen them independently before, but never together. That is really impressive.
Yeah, I totally agree, actually. That's great.
Yeah, I did it in OCAD.
So,
as all should graphic
oh, and I want to pass, so Ian made a couple copies. This is the actual requirements. I don't have these on a slide here, and later on you can certainly go to the link where they exist, but I just thought there's a couple for people to be looking at. If you want more detailed.
They're all one. And also we'll post these on the website.
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 pages in each of those packets there. So why did I want to do this? A couple of reasons. First is that you have the little troll program, which gets you up to doing a white course. And then Bob Turberfield a while ago put in this navigation certificate program, which you can't earn until you're at least at the orange level. And there's nothing to build in between those. So the idea is for this to progress. You know, if you start as a toddler, you do a little troll, then you can jump into this and keep going. And you can jump into this again, as I said, at any age. Anyone who's new to orienteering can start off doing this. Another big reason that I wanted to do this is because it fills a void in certain scouting programs. I've been involved in Girl Scouts for decades. And the last time that the Girl Scouts revamped their program, they gutted a lot of their outdoor program and they dispensed with their orienteering badge. They no longer have one. They're gradually now adding in some more outdoor badges because there's been such a big outcry from the membership, but they still don't currently have an orienteering badge. A couple of years ago, American Heritage Girls contacted Orienteering USA and said, we think we might want to put in an orienteering badge. Can you help us build one? And we said, sure, we will, and then they never got back to us, and through a leader I know involved with American Heritage Girls, we've talked to them about it, and they've kind of said, no, that's okay, we've got it as a requirement in a few other badges. So they also don't have any specific orienteering-related recognition there. And the last reason, and this is because I have taken Bob's Zero to Orange course. I've taught Bob's Zero to Orange course a couple times. I've taught coaches with the Zero to Orange system. And one of the things that I felt is that I really liked his system, but there wasn't a lot of information on how to help people progress through it, in particular if you weren't doing it as a 3-day, 1 weekend thing. You know, so the idea here is to help people who might not be taking this 3-day zero orange class to get that same material in a longer term, more progressive sense as you go through things. And it's largely based on something I did with a team I taught at Paraclete High School when I was a teacher there, where we had a checklist that we put up on the wall that said, you know, where I told the kids, okay, before I'll let you run a yellow course at an event, you have to be able to check off all the things up here. And then I know you're ready to move up. And then you, as you're running yellows, you check off all these things, and when you've done all those, then I'll let you move up and start doing oranges. So that was kind of the idea that led to this. So there's 4 levels in the program. I call them basic, intermediate, advanced, and expert. This is different than what a lot of people do. I'm on a crusade to try to convince everyone in orienteering to change to this.
Yes!
For 2 reasons. One, because I think it speaks way better to the layman. Okay, we tend to say beginner, advanced, beginner, and call this advanced and call this intermediate. But the reality is that the general public, when they come to a meet, if you're going to send them off trail, that's advanced. And that's what we do at the orange level. So that speaks to them better. It tends to make sure that people are on the right course more, because somebody who shows up who feels like they've done some land nav, and you say, well, do our advanced course, they still feel like, okay, that's for me. When you say do the intermediate course, they're like, no, I know how to do it, and then they start going out on red and getting lost. The other reason is just because it provides better consistency and use of the term intermediate, because we have our intermediate school age run the yellow course. So here we end up with the intermediate course also being the intermediate class when we're at interscholastics and things. So this is the way we've been doing it in LAOC for a number of years. This is the way I did it for this program. And I encourage you to get your club to change to it. People like it. Yes?
Can we say beginner instead of basic?
We could. I don't know. For me, the term beginner kind of, a lot of people don't like to be the beginner. Yeah. So that's kind of why I've moved away from that term to something that still says it's not, you know, it's simple, but you don't necessarily have to be just starting. It's not your very first one or whatever.
And maybe if you have those land nav people, maybe they wouldn't all be, even if they're beginning, they wouldn't be beginning at beginner. Maybe they begin at intermediate.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People can start at whatever level is appropriate for them. I don't know. I haven't had anybody complain about this word, but you know, if you want to call it something else, whatever. Or novice. I mean, sometimes we use beginner or novice also interchangeably with that. So in each level, there's 3 types of requirements. There are concept requirements. The concept requirements are things that you would pass the requirement typically by having to explain something. They're the kind of things that you could probably do in a classroom sitting at a table. Things like, you know, can you explain what all of the control description symbols mean? Can you point on a map to a rock? Can you explain what it means to use an attack point? Okay, a lot of those have the word explain in the requirement. Then there's skill requirements. So those are things where you actually show you can do a skill. Take a bearing from a map and follow it in the woods. Or what's the skill? Orient your map to the features around you. Those are examples of skill requirements. And then performance requirements mostly are go run an orienteering course. So at each level you have to run a certain number of courses. As you go up, the number of courses you have to run at that level increases. As you get more advanced, there are additional requirements here that involve doing course review as well. And at the most advanced levels, there's also volunteer requirements, you know, helping to meet. And at the expert level, there's actually setting courses as a requirement. One of the things that's optional is some training requirements. That was one of the things that Aaron and I, he wanted to add these training requirements, which I think are really good, that are, you know, do certain types of training courses, but I also wanted the program to be accessible to anybody. And so we made those optional. Because if you're not close to someone who knows how to put on those types of training courses, you might not be able to access that as a requirement. So I didn't want anybody to feel like, well, we can't keep going because we don't have somebody to set this training course for us. So we made those optional, but they're highly recommended for kids in particular who want to really move toward highly competitive orienteering. So how are we doing this? We're going to get the requirements up on the OUSA website. Right now they're not there. They're a link that I've passed around to some people who've been beta testing it, but I talked to Janet and we'll get that up there pretty quickly. Then people will pay for patches. We haven't ordered them yet. I was going to order a bunch and then just let people buy them from me for now, unless OUSA wants to pay for them. One of the things that's a big thing for me here is that there's no gatekeeping. I want to do this all on the honor system. That's the way most Girl Scout badges work. I know Boy Scouts is a little bit different. They have merit badge counselors who sign off. Usually in Girl Scouts, your parent or your leader can just sign off that you did something. I mean, basically the idea here is if somebody calls me and says, I did the yellow level, I want to buy the patch, I'm going to let them buy it. I'm not going to say, well, can you show me that you know this stuff? Can you prove it? Whatever. It's not that hard to sell somebody a patch. If they didn't really earn it, whatever. So they know what they did or not. And since they can just download the requirements, it doesn't require a club to buy into it. I can download this, show up at the meet, and say to somebody, can you tell me what an attack point is? And they could say, I've never seen this before. Oh, how cool. Okay, sure. I'll show you what an attack point is. That also makes it easy to administer. The club doesn't have to be the ones administering it. The parents and the coaches can administer this themselves. Also, one of the things in here is that groups are allowed to do their own recognition. If patches isn't what you do, you can do whatever you want. I want to try to work with JROTC to see how we can fit this into the way they use ribbons instead and things like that. If your group has something else that you prefer to give, no, we use pins. Okay, fine, make some pins. Go ahead, that's fine. It doesn't have to be our patches. So here's kind of some comparison with existing programs. So the new requirements go from white level up to expert. So the easiest level is you have to do a white course pretty much on your own. Little troll is before that. It goes from a string to a white course, and the navigation certificates don't start until orange. Recognition, here you'll get patches or whatever else you might choose if your group wants to do something different. In Little Troll you get stickers and packages, navigation is a certificate. Gatekeeping is one of the big differences here. As far as I'm concerned here, your coach, your parent, or even yourself can just decide that you have or have not met the requirements. It's not up to anybody else. The Little Troll system requires that the club be the one who administers it. You have to get the cards from your club. You have to get somebody in the club to sign off. And the navigation certificates were based on trying to get people certified as coaches, so those are designed so that somebody has to certify the course. They have to certify you did it in a certain thing. So the idea here is for it to be easier for people to get into the program because we just want to get people using it. Last thing is the type of requirements. This is detailed skills, very specific with a whole list at each level. Little Troll is simpler for littler kids. You just keep doing courses and you pass. Every time you do a course you get a sticker, and when you get enough stickers you get a patch. And the navigation certificates were very performance based. They didn't have any specific set of skills you had to do. It was just do an orange course, but you had to do it at a certain pace to earn the certificate, to the point where at the most advanced you had to be like a pretty elite blue runner to get the certificate. This is not based at all on your performance. All it says is successfully complete the course. It's up to you and your coach what successful completion is defined as. We don't tell you that that means a certain pace or anything. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Well, I have a comment. Claire, this is really valuable for leagues, especially those with JROTC, where often orienteering is kind of a snapping unit, and the unit is basically go orienteer. Well, you end up with a lot of people in there who are in JV, but they don't know how to aim off. They don't know an attack point. They don't know all these critical skills. And you can hand these to coaches and say, if you want to train and get better, here's how you do it. So I guess my first question to you is, how soon can we implement this?
You can implement it right. Over the summer, I had this out as beta requirements. I had Girl Scout leaders who've already taken it to clubs and had somebody sign off on their white courses. Okay. You know, all you got to do is follow the link, get to it, and print it off and hand it to whoever you want.
So if I promote this in COC and call it the Explorer patches, the Explorer patch set, you'd be fine with that?
Yeah, I don't care what you call it.
Okay, because it seems like that's something people would want to be,
Yeah.
you know, it's not like skills check-off, but
Yeah.
that's what it is.
I mean, my point is just to help people teach and learn orienteering properly and to get as many different groups out there as possible going to meets because, I have to go do another orange course before I have my patch, you know.
Right. Fantastic, thank you.
Have you worked with Brian Coleman about having him talk to Boy Scouts? If this is something they want to think about incorporating into their orienteering?
I haven't talked with him too much, and it would not surprise me to find that Boy Scouts are the group who uses this the least because they already do have a developed merit badge program. The Boy Scout, earning the Boy Scout merit badge is approximately equivalent to doing the first 2 levels of this system, yeah. But if kids wanted to progress beyond that, then there would be something for them to go into. So it might be useful in particular more for venturing crews or something like that after kids have earned a merit badge.
Okay.
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you.
Okay.